guys, and welcome to my birthday reading vlog because it's one day before my actual birthday. I figured for this week we'd sit down and only read and reread my favorite books ever as part of like a gift to myself because it's my birthday, which is why those are our plans. I'll show you the TBR in a second, but let's just jump right in because I've been waiting to reread these books for so long now that it makes sense to like do it for myself now that it actually is my birthday. And it's gonna be such a fun, exciting one that I've waited so long for because I can't wait to go see all my favorite people again, and it's finally time. So now for context, I do have a few of my favorite books already picked out that I'd like to reread in this video. All books I've given 5 stars in the past that I want to go ahead and revisit, and I already started off actually this week in the background of the other video I was recording and not having such a great time with. I need to go post that video out tonight, and so I figured I'll get back to the audiobook of Asimov as I'm doing that because I'm already halfway through the book in the progress of it. The thing is, I want to go ahead and at least try to hit chapter 54 by tomorrow so I can gift myself that on my actual birthday reading it, because that is just like a religious experience in itself. But until I do that, I do have 200 pages of catch up to do, which hopefully I'll be doing tonight, and that's book number 1 for this video, a reread of one of my favorite books literally ever. At this point I want to reread it at least twice a year because again, this book just feels life into me. But apart from this is the stack of all the other books I want to go ahead and try to get throughout the rest of the video. All of them are romances. So we have Say You'll Remember Me, last year's Abby Jimenez book, Marriage for One, which I actually read I think like 3 years ago at this point. That makes me feel ancient, but this has like been my number 1 favorite romance book since forever at this point. So I figured again give that to myself because I haven't reread it since the first time I read it ever. And again, I've been waiting, I've been dying to go over some scenes. Most of it, or at least the tiny details, aren't so perfectly clear in my head anymore, to the point where I know I'm going to enjoy the reread now, so I can like remember the things I enjoyed the first time around, which is why it's finally time I'm going to read this for the first time again, my reread. And I've just been waiting so long again to do this, so I was giving this to myself this year. Brought up because it's actually the first book I read this year, but it's part of the Windy City series, and when I initially read it, it wasn't 5 stars, but I haven't stopped thinking about this book since the day I read it, which has been literally over 6 months at this point, to the point where now I'm craving a reread. I want to meet my favorite people again, and this is on that list, so this is an option. And last, and maybe I should not pick this up, but it's in the stack anyway tentatively for the week if you're able to get to it, The Last Letter, because this again was not 5 stars initially upon read, and now I just want to go back and reread and see if it is, because this book, it is a romance, but there's something that happens at the end that truly broke me because it's very tragic, and I guess I just want to feel sad in a hopefully fun way because it's my birthday week. We'll figure out what I end up doing, but this again is something I enjoyed a lot the first time I read it, and I want to feel those feelings again, which is why this is on the stack. And so out of all of these books, it really just depends how many I'm able to get through over the span of the next 1 week. If we get through all, might as well and great. I might just pick up another couple off my bookshelf if we have the time. If we don't, I'll have to pick and choose the ones I truly desperately want to read really bad. But those are plans for this week, essentially try to get through as many of my favorite books as I can because I love them so much. I want to experience them again, and that again is like my favorite gift to myself. And so here we are. Y'all are wondering why there's no Emily Henry in the stack. It's because I'm saving all of her books that I really love for a reread for a different video that'll be out in a couple weeks hopefully from today and whatnot, which is why stay tuned for that. It'll be coming soon, and so I figured we'd pick something different in today's video, and that's what we're doing. So now I'll directly just jump back into Asimov, see it through, try to get to the favorite part and whatnot. But yeah, those are my updates. That's what we're doing in today's video. So excited because again, it's my favorite thing in the world to go back to visit all my favorite people, and I get to do that this week, and I'm so excited. Already having the best time with this one, and it's just gonna be the best birthday week ever. I know it, and so let's just continue. Okay guys, I'm here for my first update for the video because I've started and I've continued 2 of the books for this vlog, and now it's 1 day past my birthday, so I'm well and truly 19, and this is like the best gift I could give to myself, to the point where all I've been doing is binging my books all evening. And all I'll say is this is very handy coming in now considering my reading slump. So I'm wondering if I should make this sort of video a more permanent thing, especially when I fall into slumps every like 4 months or so, because honestly these are like my lifelines back to actually enjoying books again. I started like a whole other random book on Kindle because I got the whole reading bug again, so I feel like this is bringing life into me, and it's perfect and like genuinely the best thing I could do for myself this birthday, which is why I'm so happy that I got back to it, picked it up. But for an update quickly, I'm on chapter 61, page 580 of Asimov, so I'd say about 40 pages before the ending, I did go ahead and sit down and pull through, and I binged through those 200 pages that I said I wanted to read before my actual birthday, so I would get to chapter 54. And while on my birthday itself, I did manage to make it to chapter 50. The thing is, I got to read 54, the whole build up to it, especially from the surreal scene, on my actual birthday, and I feel like that fully counts. So next time the goal is always going to be chapter 50 because it just ties the whole thing in together. It was perfect. I was kind of listening to this. I've been listening to the audiobook of it in random like spurts throughout the past week as I've had errands and stuff, but the majority of the chunk that I managed to listen to, 200 odd pages, it was because number one, I was posting the vlog that needed to go out, and so I was making its thumbnail and doing all of those things, and the second, I did my nails for my birthday and they're already starting to chip, so I would say the brand isn't too great because it's the first time I'm trying it, but it's not bad in terms of color. I like the way it turned out, and frankly it gave me something to do as I was listening, and I managed to hit the point I wanted to, which is why this is perfect. And all I'll say is, again, with rereads, you think you know everything about your favorite book, but once you go back to them, you might know like the big scenes and the big details that you like focus on, but every time you go back, I feel like the reread always adds something new to the experience and something more, because again, this is my third time rereading this brick of a book, but again, this time I'm figuring out something new, just like every other time, wherein it kind of represents in a good way how if you have something you've got trauma from, you can't just move on from it if someone tells you to. And so that kind of overarching theme shows in here, where she and Reese almost have the same or similar trauma, and they're both letting each other go through with it, but they're also there for each other for support as they are trying to like move on and process it in the first place. Because if you don't acknowledge what happened to you and actually make cohesive steps towards trying to like get better and recover from it, you just won't be able to. And then there's obviously someone else in the beginning of the book who wasn't really letting her kind of even admit to the fact that she had trauma in the first place, which is why the whole thing ties in. And again, this is just like a simple thought, but it's also food for thought, and it's adding on to one of my favorite books ever that, again, rereading got me that, which is why I'm so happy. I know some people don't like rereading, but frankly for me, I don't mind, okay, because if it means I get time to go back to my favorite worlds and my favorite people and my favorite books, why would you want to stop someone from doing that? And why would you not want to do it yourself? Because if you say that some book is your favorite and some character is your favorite, wouldn't you want to go spend more time with them? And this is like the only content they appear in, so why wouldn't you want to go read it, if you know what I mean? Which is why this is perfect. I have been continuing my reread now, and because I have only 40 pages, I stop before the end, because again, it's like a more heavier time, because you know what happens at the end of the book to kind of lead the next one into Acker War, the war book essentially, which is why, again, I'm taking it easy, but I will finish it tonight now that I have given my update. So best believe tomorrow when I come speak to you, we will be reviewing this one. But then apart from that, I did go ahead and start this yesterday itself, Marriage for One. And again, if you remember my videos from 23, not that refined or polished or great, but I feel like that really just adds to the whole experience, because that was when I was just starting out on booktube. I was just reading some books, getting back into reading and trying to find what was my favorite, and this truly stuck out to me ever since then. This has been like my favorite romance book ever, so getting to reread it now at this stage in my life for the first time as my part of the rereads video, I feel like, again, it's just so incredible, because firstly, this book wasn't available physically after I finished reading it, and I genuinely remember working like tooth and nail trying to get a copy. And now that I did, you know, it's finally time that I'm putting that copy to great use, and I'm so happy that I am, because again, I've managed to hit halfway on this. I actually stopped in the middle of a chapter because I wanted to update, because again, haven't been able to put it down because I read only one chapter yesterday on my actual birthday. I genuinely just didn't have the time in the middle of everything else. If you've seen the vlog, you will know. But regardless, I had the best time with that one chapter, and then later in the night I did get back to a little bit more bedtime reading. Today I've picked back up. I've managed to hit page 233, which is incredible. And again, it just goes to say that someone who's in a slump, someone who's saying that she can't even bear the sight of books anymore, she just binged half this book. She is me, which means now that I've reached halfway of this book, again, I have so many things to say. Firstly, saying that I thought I remembered the big scenes of this, because every few weeks and whatnot I go back to it, I flip through my favorite scenes, and at this point this would have been like my 10th reread or something. It's not actually acknowledged because I never went back and sat through the whole thing, and now that I'm getting to, again, I'm regretting all the time that I didn't, all the time that I had the urge to but never did, because it's just so amazing, incredible, and it's the best time ever. And because, like I said, when I was originally reading this for the first time, I was just starting off like a romance book novice, basically a whole noob in the subject. Now I'm picking up, again, so many other things that I didn't realize the first time around. Like, for example, when they go to this like dinner with his partners at the same law firm he works at, because they need to like woo a client and whatnot, she comes with him because he's supposed to be like a family man. I'll give you a summary update soon on this, but the thing is, when that happens, they go together and they actually make it to the restaurant and whatnot. And at some point, when she's reaching out to shake all the other partners' hands, she needs to let go of his that she was holding on to. And he says that as soon as like her warm palm leaves mine, he like flexes his fingers. And like, I didn't know the significance of that all those years ago, but now I'm starting to wonder if this is like a Pride and Prejudice reference that I wouldn't have caught on back then. And so that added to my experience and made me love him even more than I already do, because I feel like I think about this specific book every single day. And so now I'm getting more fodder, and it's like just like a whole thing with new eyes that I'm enjoying so much, because I get to go back to all these comfort scenes that I've had in the past, but also add on to the experience of those. And that again ties in my whole point to say that rereading is just truly amazing. It's magical, it's beautiful, I love it, which is why there was that scene. So many others after it. For example, they are at a scene right now wherein it's the event where I know they're gonna have their first kiss, and then I also know that he's gonna smile at her for the first time, because she has this thing wherein she counts his smiles because he's like broody and he hasn't smiled once. And so the lead up to it, I had to pause before I have to go heal my heart out over that. But I'm also discovering all these other things, the way, you know, when she goes off to play with a couple of kids because it's like a different event and they're supporting like a foster agency, he turns the angle that he was standing at with the person he was talking at to faces, so he's able to watch her. And it's not like a monitoring restricted sort of watching, it's the kind of watching wherein he wants to keep her in his eyes because he can't take his eyes off of her, and you can kind of tell as you're reading that. So that is another something to add to the repertoire. She has a coffee shop and she is barely just able to like get by on renting and budgeting, so he's helping her with the manual labor. But then also on the first day of its opening, and he says it's like a fake relationship and he says it's just an investment, but he ends up buying her flowers as she's starting out the shop, and he ends up taking like a whole big order of 15 coffees on her first day to like help her succeed, paying for it, just being the sweetest person ever. And he's not even acknowledging that he's trying to help her, he's just trying to make her feel like, oh, it's business and whatnot. And that adds another element. There's another scene wherein she texts him during lunchtime and tells him that, oh, you're having lunch alone, I could have given you a couple of sandwiches from the cafe. And he looks down at his expensive steak and he just wants a sandwich now. And so I feel like, again, just the way there are so many small things that I forgot, but now looking back, they're making me feel so giggly and bubbly. I'm having the best time. And also I'm starting to realize that, again, I didn't know love languages and all the deep things that came with that back in 23, but now that I am familiar with that and what, you know, it ties into in romance books, this was making me realize that he's an acts of service guy. And just, again, the smallest things in this book that are so sweet, it's just truly giving me life, because that's my love language. And so getting to read that in a book, I'm having the best time. One last scene I'm going to tell you about before I'm going to go off, because I want to get back to reading basically. But he goes to her work in her cafe that she works at, because they live in New York, which again, that setting is just so incredible. But she goes to work walking from his place and whatnot, and there's this park she cuts across to, I think Central Park or something, because I don't live in New York, I have no idea. But it's kind of dark in the morning when she's going there, so she doesn't see her way. She falls over. She calls him to come get her because she's not feeling so great. She's kind of dizzy and her legs are wobbly and she's really like banged herself up. And he comes and he's like inspecting her hands and he's like, show me the other one. And she's just like, oh no, it's okay, it's all right. And he just like pushes to the point where she shows, and she's like, the ring is all right, the ring that he gave her wedding ring. And he's like, do you think I care about an effing ring? And all as is, again, it just adds to the story things I forgot from the first time around, that again, just having the best time with, which is why let me just keep reading. I know he keeps saying it's fake, but I know it's not for him, just the way he's talking and interacting, and I need to see it come through, which is why tonight, at least from the pace I'm going at and from the pace that I still want to keep reading, I don't want either of these down at whatever point, because these are two of my favorite like top 5 books ever. I think I'm going to go ahead and finish both of them out by the time I come in and update tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll give you more like summaries and more thoughts on it, but at the same time you've already seen the videos where I gave these books like 5 stars for the first time, so nothing new to add. It's just I'm enjoying my experience of reading a lot, and if you haven't read either of these already, please pick them up. They are such incredible books. I need something similar to them, and I know there's nothing similar to this in this entire world, so that's just out of the picture. But this, I've heard that if you want to read Terms and Conditions by Laura Nasher, that's also got like broody fake marriage husband sort of thing in that I would love to eat up, which is why I'll see about getting to that hopefully soon. But until then, yeah, I can't wait to continue reading this. I know I have the UK cover, but recently the US cover was changed and it's got like flowers at her name, the initials and whatnot, and it's got extra scenes to the point where now it's time to go hunting for like another physical of this again, because I love this book. Obviously I want 2 copies. One I'll annotate if I get the guts to it, and then the other one, it's gonna have those extra scenes at the end that I want to read, which is why let's see what I end up doing. But so far, again, great update because I'm having the best time ever, and just know that these books, I love them so much. They're evergreen for me. If you need a couple of books to define the whole essence of who I am, it's these, because these books literally make me up, which is why let me go back to finishing them out, seeing them through, and have the best time ever. And I'll update you guys now directly, hopefully tomorrow, with things to say, and then we'll start our next one. But already, video's off to such a great start. I've been yapping for 15 minutes at this point, so I'm just gonna go and bye. So it's now the next evening, nightish, and I'm here to give you my next update because I didn't manage to do what I said I would, which is why I've been in my PJs all day. All I've done is read, and I need to catch you up on my updates now because I'm done with the first 2 books for this vlog. Firstly, Akhmov, I finished my 3rd reread of this at this point. It's crazy, but I love the book so much I can't help going back to it. I finished my 3rd time reading this. I think it was like a little past midnight or something like that, a couple of hours or so, because I am a night owl. It was yesterday itself, or I guess today, because it was past midnight, and so I did finish at night, but I didn't get this done in the time, so I figured, okay, I want to get them both done before I give you an update, which is why here I am. This one, basically, for a quick premise on the first book in the series, because it's actually the second one. In that, you follow this girl called Farah. She's a human, and the way it works is that every winter her family is either got 2 options: go hungry, or she's gonna go hunting in the forest, try to find them some food or some sort of animal hide or something like that she can sell in the market after killing and skinning the animal, so she can make money and then buy them food. And so, you know, she goes into the winter and whatnot in the forest, as she always does, to actually find some sort of thing for sustenance. And what happens is that she sees this like abnormally large wolf, and she decides, okay, she's gonna kill it because its hide could definitely fetch a lot of money. Except as she ends up killing it, what she doesn't realize is that it's a fae that snuck through. There's this like wall between the mortal lands and the fairy lands, and it kind of snuck through breaks in the wall, and it was kind of hunting around in her forest. You'll understand the whole reason why what happens in it happens. It's all for like a greater purpose, but what she understands at the moment is that it snuck in, it was hunting and whatnot, and she thought it was just like a basic wolf, except she used like one of her better instruments to kill it, to the point where she accidentally killed a fairy for food, and suddenly now the fae are extremely pissed off with her. One of them, he ends up coming into her lands and fetches her from her home, because the way it works is that because she took the life of one of their people, now she has to pay the debt that she took the life of with the form of her own life, and she's not gonna die. They're gonna take it and use it in their own fairy lands. Except when she gets there, she realizes there's this like sickness in the lands, this plague that's been spreading, and there's like literally no way to stop it, except she's trying to figure out what happens next, and you know how she might be the key in all of it. And that's the plotline basically. Almost picture like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and that was the first book. This one I've heard is very Persephone x Hades, and I don't know much about that lore, but I definitely agree that from what I know, it definitely gives those, because something different happens in this book. This one's more about trauma and healing from it, from what happens in the first one. And all I'll say is, guys, you won't expect what comes in it next, because it's like a romantasy obviously, but also the turns this book takes and just the things that happen in this. All I'll say is, again, my 3rd reread, I want to read this at least every couple years at this point. You can definitely tell how loved my copy is, because it's not on its last legs, but it's definitely not as pristine as I keep the rest of my books. And you know, maybe once I don't even care, because I just love going back to this book every time. And all I'll say is, this read again was great. This is like an easy 6-star book ever. I love it so much. I had the best time again with my read, and when I made it to those chapters, the end ones and whatnot, the 54 onwards line, I had the best time ever. I was literally sobbing on my birthday as I read it, because it gave me everything I had to. Those are perfect. I just love these 2 so much. I won't tell you who obviously, but yeah, if you haven't read the book, what are you doing? You have to go pick it up, and this one is incredible. Now I can't wait to soon go back and continue the rest of the series out, because the new books in the story are coming out, one of them later this year and then one next year. And all I know is that I really need to catch up before they do, because it's my favorite world ever, and I've only read 2 books of it, and the second one I've read 3 times. So that just means to say that I didn't want to run out of the content before the new one was coming out before I knew a date for it, and now that I do, I can definitely get back to the series soon, which I will do because I love it so much. So many people of mine, everyone's just been put into and hooked into the series thanks to me, because when I love a book, I'm going to share my love for it with everyone else and make them read it because it's just that incredible. And that goes to say that, hey, one of my favorite books ever. So happy I read this again. This is so important in the storyline arc that, again, 6 stars, had the best time ever. And here we are. Now, Marriage for One, which I just finished literally 15 minutes ago, started one chapter of one of the next books and then decided, okay, wait, let me give an update on this. This one is this rom-com I read back in 23. It's 3 years later that I'm finally sitting down and reading this again, rereading it for the first time. So it's my second time reading it because I genuinely think this is the best rom-com I've ever read. This and Beach Read are my 1 and 2. It just depends on what day that I rank them. But for now, this is again back to my number 1 spot. There's no change in my rating. This is like a 6-star book because again, I haven't stopped thinking about this. I think about this every single day ever since the day I've read it, and now that I finally gave in and let myself reread, it was just as good. I remembered, I got extra details and stuff I hadn't brushed up on in a while, and I had so much fun, and I had flashbacks to where I was when I was reading this for the first time. And all I'll say is this is one of the best slow burn romances I've ever read, especially Marriage of Convenience. I don't think I found like a good book with that trope except this one, probably the second one in the Butcher and Blackbird series, and Play Along, which is that Tom Ford book from Windy City, because honestly those books are incredible obviously, but apart from that, I feel like the whole pace in that sort of subplot is set by this book, because this is like truly one of the best examples for Marriage of Convenience that's done so well that I love it so much, and I can't stop thinking about it. I ate it up this time around, as we could tell, because I binged it in 2 days, and again, it's a huge book, but at the same time I literally couldn't put it down. So that all goes to say that, hey, I love this book. I need to go and hunt for the US version now so I can get the extra chapters at the end and see those perspectives, because I love this so much. But for a quick premise, we follow Rose and Jack. They're already doomed from the start because their names are the same as the Titanic, but Rose, essentially her uncle passes away, and in his will he leaves this stipulation that the shop he owned on Madison Avenue, it'll go to Rose's husband upon his death. And the thing is, now that he is dead, it will go to her husband, except she just broke up with one of her boyfriends, her fiance, something like that, to the point where now she doesn't have anyone, no husband in the horizon, and she's already spent all the money that she was gonna use in the equipment that she was starting to use to set up a coffee shop in place of that store. And the thing is, now her cousin, so the uncle's children, are gonna try to contest her in court for that property, because again, they believe they are rightful holders, and also she doesn't have a husband, so she won't get it anyway, and all her life savings that she put into the coffee shop stuff is just going to go to waste. Until enter Jack. He is the uncle's law firm that he had like a lawyer in. He's one of the partners over there, and he figures he'll strike a deal with her wherein he'll get married to her. Essentially, he'll be the husband who gets the property, and then he'll lease it out to her for the next like 2 years until finally they'll like go their own separate ways. He has to keep the property, whatnot, and she's finally back on her feet with the whole coffee store established, so she'll go elsewhere or something, whatever. His stake in doing it is that he recently made partner, and he wants everyone to take him seriously at the firm, but because he's like the only unattached younger guy over there, and he's extremely attractive, he's like broody, stubborn, that sort of vibe. I don't really think a lot of him seriously, and he wants to appear to be a family man who has like grounded roots, and so he figures, okay, getting married to her will give that sort of impression. And you can tell there's not a lot from his end, but again, things come back later in the end, to the point where he manages to convince her, they get married. But the whole process, the whole story that takes place is the fact that after they're married, they're starting to fall for each other in the small things they do for each other, especially the acts of service that he's doing for her, like kind of helping her set up the coffee store, and saying it's just like a business agreement, but it's really not, because there are things deeper, and there's that romance. And all I'll say is, guys, I love this book so much. There were so many great quotes and scenes that I got to reread again, that again, I already said it yesterday for like a whole 15 minutes, the perks of rereading, but again, I want to make this like a yearly thing specifically for this book, because the only reason I took so long to reread was not because I was scared that it would uphold the same sort of opinions I had of it in the past. I very well knew it would, considering the amount of times I've like flipped through the book randomly when I just felt like it, but it's actually because I wanted to go ahead and specifically forget a few things so I can enjoy it almost like from the first time ever, because I know I'll never be able to read it for the first time again, but I wanted that feeling, and I somewhat got it with this, especially especially some scenes that I completely forgot happened, because it is a longer book. It is definitely a slow burn. Not a lot happens between them, but the sort of build up is what you appreciate. And in that, there were a couple of scenes that I truly just, they were wiped out of my memory. So going in with a mostly blank slate on this book, except knowing that, you know, I love it so much, that definitely helped. And again, this is like another 6-star read. I had so much fun. He is like one of my top MMCs ever, and I know he's like grumpy and broody and not necessarily my type, but just the way this book is done, again, Grumpy Sunshine, this is probably the only book in that trope that I've enjoyed that is done so well, because the author did an incredible job in my opinion. And yeah, all I'll say is, like I said, ate this up, had the best time with my reread. You know my thoughts from the first time around, and I want to make this more regular because I love this book so much. I don't even care, I just need to keep going back to it. And this was this book. For now though, as we continue the video, I have a whole different stack of books to choose from, and you'll see I've added 2 more books to the top of the pile that weren't there from my last update. And that's because for my birthday, my little sister ended up going through my Goodreads, and she said it would be like very basic and whatnot, just to like pick out my last 5 stars, see if it's on my shelf. If it wasn't, she just get me like a physical. She thought that was too basic, so she went the extra step, and for the past few months she's been like quizzing me on books I love but I don't have copies of. And she knows that I enjoyed this one, The Crimson Moth, from the first time I read it, and Elsewhere a lot, so she ended up going ahead and she's been listening to me talk because she got these for me as physicals, and now I want to reread. So these are onto the stack as well. But the thing is, this one's kind of really sad, and even just thinking about the plot the other day when I was trying to explain it to her, I started crying because there are scenes in this that I don't think I can handle this week. I just don't want to. Maybe another time when my heart feels stronger, but right now it isn't, which is why I'm gonna keep this aside for now. We'll get to it soon. But again, such an incredible book. I've been flipping through it, certain scenes that I want to get back to soon, and so that's the radar for someday, just not necessarily this video. The other one, Crimson Moth, this is the first book in a series, and the second one is not being sold in paperback at the moment, or at least it's not available where I'm at, and I definitely don't want a hardcover. So the thing is, as soon as I finish this, I want to jump into the second one, and obviously I have that on Kindle, but I really want to read it physically, which is why this one I'm also thinking I may not read it, but it depends on my mood. Because if I want like a change of genre, because it's all romance after this, I might pick this up because it's like another fantasy romantasy sort of book, which is why this is still on the stack, but preferably as a later choice, because I do want the second one before I start this, which is why, again, great series. I love this duology so much. It's just right now I'm not really sure if I want to get to it, which is why this one is also struck off. Last Letter, which is another book on the stack that we had originally. This one is a very sad book, and I know what happens at the end, but I want to feel that again this week. But I'm thinking not necessarily right now, which is why I'm going to save this for later this week, just not at the exact moment. Which is why I'm going to put this away for now, and the other 2 books we have left to choose from essentially are Caught Up by Liz Stormford and Say You Remember Me. This one was the first book I read this year, and then looking back it was 5 stars, so I figured we can pick this up. And Say You Remember Me, I read it last year, and the thing is, a lot of people before I read it, because I read it a few months after it was released, had already read it at that point and said like not so great things about it, kind of criticizing the book, saying they didn't enjoy it, to the point where it colored my own opinion going into it. And then going into it, I had the best time ever, enjoyed it, but because I wasn't sure at that moment, it wasn't necessarily a full 5 stars until now that I've been thinking about it every other week, literally. Again, certain scenes I want to get back to, how giggly it made me feel, that I figured okay, I'm going to pick this one up as well. And then flipping through it now, I didn't realize, but they sent me this bookmark along with the book at the time that I bought it, and I just didn't realize. It's so funny, it's advertising Quicksilver, that series, which I'm caught up on and I don't even like very much, but anyway, here we are. Still gonna use the bookmark. And the thing is, of this, the first time I read it, I listened to the audiobook, and I remember really enjoying that, the way it was done. So I figured since I don't have anything to listen to at the moment anyway, I'll pick this as audiobook, and this is the one I started the first chapter of. And then this one, in the meantime, I'll read physically, and I also have a Kindle version of this, so I'll read that probably. So we'll be reading both of these at the same time, one on audio and one on Kindle, so I have something before bed, because frankly, I just love both of these books. I want to feel them again, and I can't choose between the 2 of them, because this one, the guy gets compared to Reese, the book we literally just finished, Asimov, and then this one, I can't stop thinking about it. I keep seeing reels of it, and I need to get back into the series, which is why we're reading both of these at the same time now, just like we did these 2 previously. But yeah, I will get more progress in on these now before I give you more updates. All I'll say is I'm having the best time at the moment. And the thing is, tomorrow actually I'm gonna go meet up with a friend of mine that I haven't seen for I think 4 years now, which is insane. And so we will be spending the entire day together, which means I want to try to get some more reading in tonight on both of these books, maybe try to hit 30% on both, so that tomorrow I can hit like at least halfway, and then day after we'll get both done. Who knows? Because again, I know I'll be out all day tomorrow. I don't want to put pressure on myself to read, because I want to enjoy spending time with her, but also because we need to still read some of my favorite books ever for this video, because that's the whole point, which is why let's see what I end up doing tonight. But these are the books I'm picking out for right now, and then if we still have time in the vlog, I'll definitely get to this because it's like an emotional read. It's just being put off until I feel strong enough to get to it. But until then, those are the books I'm picking up now. This was a huge update, so I'm gonna go. But yeah, just know that I'm having the best week ever reading some of my favorite books, and this is truly genuinely the best thing I could do for myself, which is why that's about it. I'm gonna get to it now, and I'll see you guys in a bit now once I have things to say, hopefully tomorrow. And that's it now, so bye. Hi guys, so it's now Thursday. Last I updated it was Tuesday, and I was just getting started on my books, and yesterday was the day I was actually meeting up with my friend. I honestly had the best evening ever, but we actually kind of lost track of time, so we were hanging out for quite a bit. We hit up the bookstore, we were discussing and swapping reads, and at this point I have so many good recommendations to get to, because I feel like if not a bigger reader than me, she is definitely a better reader than me, maybe more so, to the point where now I just can't wait to binge everything she's told me to, which is why I had the best day ever, thanks to which, you know, I definitely came back home tired, to the point where I didn't do a lot of reading. Definitely worth it because I still had like a fun time. It's just because of that I didn't really have any updates to give you until right now, because I did go ahead and finish out one of the books. So please ignore what I said in my last update when I said I'll get done with both by Thursday, because that isn't happening. The one I did finish is this one, Say You'll Remember Me. I started it on audiobook because I had my copy from the first time I read it, and so honestly had the best time ever. I was flipping through this, kind of listening to that, finishing off errands. I made this like one bracelet because after Bookmas ended and I had like a little bit of a break before uploading videos again, I really got into making like friendship bracelets, the knotted ones, and so now everyone in my life is getting a friendship bracelet. I'm getting back into it now. In fact, I love this book so much I can't find it. Hold on. I cut out strings for like the measurement of another bracelet that I want to make with the color scheme of the cover, because I had such an amazing time with my reread, I'll get to that in a second, that I need it as a bracelet so I can physically wear it on my hand. But until I do all of that, yeah, I was doing all those things as I was listening to the audiobook of this, and I finished it out this evening. I took a bit of a break before I wanted to give you my final thoughts, because I was not okay by the end of this. I don't remember crying the first time I read it, but now, yes, I did at the ending, and I think it was perfect. So let's discuss. For a quick premise, we follow Samantha and Xavier. Xavier is basically human incarnate of Resand. He looks basically perfect. He is basically perfect. He's like a vet. He cures animals. There's literally nothing better than a man like that, until you realize that when he opens his mouth, he's an actual asshole. But then again, you start to realize why that is, because he's having the worst day ever at the beginning of the book, and he doesn't come across as the best guy to the FMC Samantha, except as they spend a little bit more time at appointments and stuff, because she comes in for her cat, she realizes that he's actually not such a bad guy, and she takes him up on the offer to go on a date and stuff, and things immediately hit off between the two of them. It's like the perfect date in the history of dates, and ideally that's where they'd start like forever dating and whatnot, and becoming a couple and falling in love and doing all those things, until you realize that wait, he's in Minnesota. The next day she's leaving to go back home to California because her mom actually has dementia, and she has to go be the primary caregiver for her mother, to the point where now they've just had one date. She asks him to forget her because that's just the way it looks like. It can't really be anything more. They can't do anything about it, and so she goes there. He stays his own way. They basically part directions, and you know, it's supposed to be the end of it, except both of them can't stop thinking about each other, hence the whole thing with Say You'll Remember Me, to the point where they start getting in contact again. They're flying to see each other. They're going on all these epic dates, but the problem is the distance, and he can't settle where she is because he's got his own clinic that he's running, and he's, you know, gonna go in debt if he has to sell it off or do anything like that, and she can't go live with him because her mom dementia. She needs like an environment she's used to, which is why there's obviously that dilemma. But throughout it all, they're falling more and more irrevocably in love, to the point where they don't know what they're going to do next, and that's the story. And all I'll say is the whole concept in this book of the fact that her mom has dementia, so she personally needs to have a love wherein the life is lived together in the smallest of moments and remembered, and the way he fights for that for them, it was perfect to me. I had the best time with this book. I know I gave it 4.5 stars the first time around, and then I wasn't able to stop thinking about it, so I bumped it to a 5. But this book, rereading it was also a test to say, give me those same vibes vibes and feelings that I felt from the first time around. And all I'll say is, as someone who's like a very nostalgic person, this hit so hard for me. I know the first time I was kind of dissuaded because I saw all these like negative opinions online, to the point where I was like not even sure if I enjoyed it. But honestly, I don't even care. This is 5 stars. I had so much fun. I think this might be my favorite book of hers, which is why I picked it up, because I know it's like a controversial one. People don't really like it, but to me, the authors slayed so hard for the trope of showing how in love these two people are with each other and how perfect they are for each other, soulmates, but also making it funny and hilarious, but then balancing like emotional moments with one, so you can like fall for them, but also giving like the grumpy sort of aspect to him, which I really ate up. And all I'll say is, this is an incredible story. I laughed, I giggled, I cried for them, and I had the best time ever. And yeah, this is 5 stars. This is the whole reason I picked this up for a reread rather than the other one I gave 5 stars of hers, Part of Your World, because I don't even care what the public thinks. This is incredible to me. This is one of the best romances I've ever read, and now I'll go make it into a bracelet for me to wear, because I need that. So that's this. I had the best time ever, and now hopefully I'll come back soon to reread again, because I just know I haven't gotten enough of the story yet. It's just so incredible, so amazing. If you haven't picked it up, or if you like DNF'd it because you again were dissuaded by the negative opinions, give it a chance. It's genuinely one of the best books ever. And this is it for this one. And now on to our next book. I actually wasn't sure what I wanted to pick up, but now I'm thinking I want to go back and actually get back to caught up and whatnot, so haven't started it yet, but I think I'm gonna read this whole thing physically, and then this will probably be the final book for the video, because today is Thursday night. I will be posting this Sunday, and while I definitely can binge it if I want to, the thing is, Last Letter, the other one, it's extremely sad. I don't know if I'm in the mood for something like that at the moment, which is why I don't want to do it to myself if I don't feel emotionally strong enough, if I know I can't like hold it throughout that book, because it's a painful one, which is why for now I'm thinking this will be a final book for the video. I don't want to end the vlog without reading this, because it's again an incredible book. I gave 4.5 the first time. Looking back, it was 5, so we'll see. We'll put it up to the test if it actually is this time. But also, I want to visit this world so bad. I love Windy City. I want to see my favorite characters again, which is why that's what we're doing right now, and I'll get to reading this, and I'll update you guys hopefully in a bit. But again, it's just gonna be so fun, because I'm having the best time ever, literally the best week of my life doing this, and you best believe I'll be back in like 6 odd months or so to do it again as a repeat, because I'm just having the best time ever with the best books ever. So now I'm gonna go read this. I can't wait to meet Kai and Miller again, and I'm gonna update you guys in a bit, because the first time I picked this up, I read 2 chapters and then put it down for like a whole couple of weeks until I got back to it in the video that I read it. And I don't know how it made me feel that way, because it is 5 stars. Looking back, I can't wait to pick it up again, which is why that's what I'll be doing right now. Let's see how it goes, but I just know it's gonna slay, because I haven't stopped thinking about these people either, and I'm gonna get to it now. So see you guys in a bit once I have my updates. But yeah, I'm so excited to get to this. I love this book so much. I have so many favorite scenes I can't wait to like read again, which is why that's it. See you guys in a bit, and bye. Okay, and it's final update time, and before anything, if anyone says why you not holding caught up like physically in the hand, and why do you not have b-roll of it, that's because I changed again tracks midway throughout for this video entirely, and again changed my mind on it, which is why I'm gonna catch you up on what I was thinking for coming to the fact that I didn't actually end up reading it again, and I will soon, don't get me wrong. It's just I didn't, which is why this would be the end of the vlog technically. This is kind of like my outro. But before anything, yeah, all I'll say is this week has been like a whirlwind of everything. I feel like amidst everything else that's been going on, I've been finding out other like news and stuff. For example, Emily Henry is coming out with a new book next year, so excited. And then also her book Beach Read, which is my favorite literally, is getting adapted into a movie, and like the movie comes out May 7th. I just can't believe it. All right, and then the cast, that's like a whole subject for like another day, because I don't even know what to say. But on the same vein as the movie topic and whatnot, I found out that apparently Windy City series is also being turned into like a show or something like that. And all I'll say is for the past few days I've been thinking about the entire series and whatnot, considering the fact that I gave most of these books like 3 stars in it, because looking back they weren't like my favorites, and maybe I was burnt out with romance to the point where they didn't hit as hard. But the thing is, I've been getting like reels about them, like fan casts and stuff, scenes that happened in the books with quotes and things, to the point where I actually want to go back and reread the whole series. So it really made no sense to sit down and reread Caught Up in this vlog if I'm just gonna go back and read everything from the beginning, maybe even Mile High, to the point where I thought, okay, if the show is coming out in the next couple years, say, why don't I just sit down and give myself like a whole reread of the entire series and read all of those in one go, along with Caught Up in the actual order that they're supposed to go in preparation for the show, because I want to experience it again. I want to meet Kai, I want to meet Miller, I want to mean, Isaiah especially, and then Monty again. Those are my favorite characters, but then also the rest of them and whatnot, Kennedy and everyone else, to the point where I think I'm just going to do that once the show comes out, which is why I didn't end up going ahead with the reread of that. And also it's my birthday week, I can do whatever I want. And then so I figured, okay, I'll pick something else off of the list because I was just again in a reading mood. But then here's the thing, I almost chose something else only to realize that that day my sister came back home with the school library book of Elsewhere, which is so funny because she bought me a physical copy of Elsewhere at home. Now we have 2 copies in the house. One is my own, which she got for my birthday, and one is the one she got for herself from the library, and we are supposed to reread. But the thing is, she's gotten busy this week. She has like a couple of things coming up, and the thing is, I don't really have college for the next couple of weeks, which means I'm a free bird. I can do what I want, which is why I'm gonna wait until she gets free so I can reread that with her, which is why otherwise, apart from that, I wasn't really in the mood to reread anything else. And here's the thing, I was actually in a Kindle mood and in a show watching mood, which is why, again, all in all to say, I started a couple of the books that I want to be reading in next week's vlog. You'll see them, very fun romances. I have high hopes. And I also ended up going ahead and coming back to catching up on the shows that I've missed out on in the past few months and whatnot, to the point where I finished another whole show. Can you imagine who have I become? I finished 2 shows in this week that I've been watching since forever, but basically I finished a show in the meanwhile because I had literally nothing else to do. I wasn't necessarily actively reading for a video. And then I started catching up on season 2 of Maxton Hall and whatnot because it came out a few months ago. I just, for whatever reason, I didn't catch up on it, and I watched 2 episodes, and I don't really know if I want to continue it, which is why I'm mentioning it again here, because I know that people love it. I need some sort of like feedback from y'all if I should, because it's kind of boring at the moment, maybe because I've already read the book so I know what's happening. But I did do all of that in the meanwhile that I was supposed to be using to read caught up, which is why, all in all to say, y'all will get a different vlog from me around the time the show comes out. We have like a release date for me to catch up on those books and kind of refresh my memory before I watch it, which is why we're not reading caught up in this video. Elsewhere, I'm waiting for my sister to get free so we can actually buddy read it together, which is why that's not happening either. And in the meanwhile, I caught up on shows. So all in all to say, it's still a win in my book. It's still my birthday week, so I can do whatever I want. And I feel like I use my mood very, very appropriately the way I want to in this vlog, because I did everything I wanted to anyway, which is like a great slay in my book. And also it's like a great birthday present to myself, doing all these things that I was looking forward to for a while anyway, which is why with that we have done quite a bit of things in this vlog. We reread a couple of 6 stars, 1 5-star. We bumped the 5-star up to an actual 5-star because I wasn't unsure in my head and whatnot if it was a 5-star, so you'll remember me. And now that it is, I can't wait to go start working on that bracelet I want to make of it. And then also in the meanwhile, we caught up on shows. We did like a bunch of other things, and all in all to say, I have more plans for more videos coming soon, which is why I feel like this week was overall quite a bit of a slay. And we have reached the end of this vlog because I did go ahead and I guess successfully accomplished giving myself the best birthday present this year, and that was rereading my favorite books ever, and I had the best time ever. So if you guys had a fun time coming along with me as well, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And I'll see y'all now directly, I don't even know when actually, because I want to post my birthday vlog as well. I have that edited and ready to go, so maybe I'll see you midweek, who knows, maybe I'll see you next week, really just depends. But whenever I see you next, I'll see you soon for my birthday vlog, for next week's fun reading vlog, because it's gonna be so cool. I'm literally just like been looking forward to it for like a whole month now, because I thought of it on vacation. I can't wait to do it. It's gonna be like such a fun time, and I can't wait to do that with y'all. And so whenever I see you next, I will. And until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and that's it. Bye. See y'all in a bit. Hopefully y'all did have fun regardless, because I had the best time, and honestly it's just been the best birthday ever. Bye.